Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Christal. I have been so enjoying the feedback that I'm getting from the relationship episode, and there's only been one official one. So, thank you so much for just taking time to comment and send me a little note. Keep it coming. Also, let me know if there are certain topics that you would like me to chat about, or maybe any case scenarios or case studies or scenarios that you would like me to coach on the podcast. I would love to do that. And I'm very open to doing that. So thank you again so much. Keep it coming. I really appreciate you guys spending time with me every week. In today's show, we are going to talk about how you show up in your relationship with others. And keep in mind, many times I'll be talking about the relationship that you have with a partner or a spouse, but really the information that you are learning and that I'm sharing in this show can be used for any adult relationship, right? So before I jump into the details of today's show, I do have to give one more plug to my 6-week relationship coaching program that starts next week. I'm super excited to work with these ladies. However, I do still have some spots open. So if you are interested, do not miss out on this opportunity. It's the inaugural opening of the program. So because of that, I am planning to bring these ladies tons of value, really help them work through their situations and get them the results that they want at the end of that 6 weeks. And I'm not charging the full program price for it. It's just an application fee. So because of that, I really want to make sure that if you at all are curious about this, if you're a professional woman feeling frustrated, unheard, unseen, or undervalued in your relationship, I want to work with you. Okay. You don't have to just cope or walk on eggshells or just endlessly wait for the other person to change. There is a different way, my friend. And I would love, love, love to show you. So make sure that you connect with me. If you're listening to this episode in real time, we still have some days before we start. So make sure that you connect with me. Okay. Let's talk about how we are showing up in your relationship. Have you ever wondered or really just kind of done like a self check with yourself? And I recently did this, and it's kind of an interesting exercise to do. So I challenge you to do this. Think about some of the expectations or the requests that you have of your partner. And then, and it would be interesting to write this down on paper. That's what I did, because to see it in black and white makes it so much more powerful. Then look at those expectations, even if you just did an expectation list. Then think about, do you uphold those same standards for yourself? And you may be surprised. So I challenge you this week, write down all of the expectations you have of your significant other. And then look at those things for yourself and say, hey, you know what? Do I bring some of these same qualities to the table? Do I bring some of these same behaviors to the table? I challenge you, and I would love to hear what happened after you do that activity. But basically, I want to share an example, so that way it can like really drive home for you, because I learn best by examples. And so I know many of you do as well. And it's just always kind of good to hear of situations that other people are going through, right? Because it also helps remind us that we're not alone in things, that sometimes this topic of having maybe not that it's a bad relationship, but everything else in your life is probably going pretty well. But you know that your relationship could be doing a little better or a lot better. And you are into self-help, or you're really the kind of person who you like getting results or taking action. And you've tried different things. You've tried therapy. You've tried different ways of communication over the past. And for whatever reason, you haven't been able to get the result that you've been looking for when it comes to your relationship. And sometimes we even take that as like a personal failure. And so that's really like what this season of this podcast and YouTube channel is about, is really just kind of giving you some quick actionable tips that you can use to get immediate results. And then when I'm not giving tips, I'm sharing some case studies or scenarios from past clients or, situations from myself, my personal life, to just help you not feel alone, because you are absolutely not alone in this. So this case study that I want to share, I just kind of want you to imagine a woman who wants more love and connection in her relationship. Okay. At the end of the day, that is what she wants. She feels that that, you know, that side of their relationship is lacking, and she wants more love and connection. The situation is the house. Okay. She has a different definition of what a clean house looks like compared to him. So she makes the request, will you have the house clean before I get home from work today? Come home, and the house looks a little different, right? Some things have been moved around, but the house to her standards is not clean. And her thought is, he doesn't love me. I took the time to communicate with him, tell him what I wanted. I said it in a very nice way, gave him plenty of time, and I come home and the house is not clean to my standards. From that thought that he doesn't love me, she's feeling hurt, or maybe she's feeling sad. She's definitely feeling frustrated. And some of the actions that she takes from that place of feeling hurt and frustrated, she's rolling her eyes. She gives him the silent treatment a little bit. She's short with him. She starts hurriedly cleaning up the house to her standards. And the result that she creates in that situation is she's not coming from a place of love and wanting more connection. See how that just kind of falls back on the person? So think about how we want something, right? In this case study was she wanted more love and connection, but then her thoughts that led to her feelings, that led to her actions, really didn't have her acting from a place of love and connection, right? So maybe even having the thought with herself, and maybe not even in the moment, right? When she's frustrated and, but having the thought that, what, maybe my definition of a clean house is different than his definition of a clean house. Maybe, he still loves me very much and he thinks the house is clean, which he did, by the way. Okay. So I share that case study with you so that way you can just kind of hear like a real life example of how something so simple can get us in a place where we are, not at our best with our emotional well-being, because we're huffing and puffing or we're upset with a person. And at the end of the day, I have to share this with you. And sometimes this is tough to accept, right? For all of us, me included, we are always allowed to request things of others, right? Of course, anyone, right? Our kids, our friends, whatever, but when we're talking about our significant others, we can always request things from them, but they can always not do it because other adults have the right, whether we like it or not. And I know this may be hard to hear, but other adults have the right to be who they are, do what they want, and say what they say. Right. So in this situation, the husband, he heard, that I didn't talk to him, so we don't know exactly how he heard it, but I'm guessing he heard, we clean the house before I get home. And he went about his day. And at some point, he picked up a few things, moved a few things around, maybe ran something under a stream of water for a second. And that was his version of cleaning. And he's good. He's, thinking she's going to be so excited when she gets home, what have you. And the end of that, scenario basically is, because of that stinking thinking that we sometimes have, because just think about that thought, he doesn't love me. And that's a horrible feeling, right? Especially if this is someone who you value, right? You're in relationship with this person because you do love them and you value them and you want to be in relationship with them. You want more love and connection. So why would you choose to have that thought, right? A thought that doesn't serve you ultimately, because in that situation, he's feeling good, having a great old time, and you are not. Okay. So I hope that kind of was, don't mean to make light of that scenario because these are things that we really do go through, but it's just good to have an example. And then I want to share another example about how we can show up when we want to set boundaries in our relationship. And I'll do another show on boundaries in more detail later, but I'll share a personal example of this. So when we think about giving a request to another adult, we do have to keep those things in mind that I just shared. We always have the right and the option to request whatever we want, but we have to remember there's another side to that, that we cannot control another human being. And so, for example, when my husband and I, met, and then we moved into our home together, I started doing our laundry combined, right? And it didn't take me very long to realize that I was spending way more time cleaning out pockets but because I didn't know this beforehand, right? But you do the load and then you find all of the treasures in the washing machine. And so after that happened once, I then went about each time I would do the laundry, cleaning out the pockets. And I was feeling some kind of way about that. And I said to myself, why am I doing this to myself? Rolling my eyes at him when I see him walk down the hallway, like, you should clean out your pockets because that's like a universal rule. Didn't you know? So this is what I did. And it has brought so much peace. I said, I will happily continue to do our laundry together. But if I do, then I'm asking that you make sure before you throw your clothes in the laundry basket that the pockets are cleaned out from your shorts and your pants. And what did he say? Okay, sure, no problem. What happened? There's more treats and more stuff in the pockets. So when I made the request and then it still didn't work the way that I wanted to, then I decided to create a boundary. Okay. And the boundary was simple. It's like, okay, so I made the request. That didn't work out so well. So I'll tell you one more time, if there are more stuff in the pockets of your clothes when I'm doing the laundry, then I'm just going to do my laundry and then you can manage your laundry on your own. And guess what ends up happening, right? That's the request. And then I state the consequence, right? And I know consequence seems like a big word for this kind of very simple scenario, but the important thing is to always have your back and to always follow through on the consequence. And I'm just using this is a true example, but keeping it very basic so that way it can just hit home, because you can use this for obviously bigger types of values or boundaries. So you make the request. If the person does not follow through on the request, then you follow through on the consequence. So the consequence was me no longer doing his laundry. And that's where we are, right? So he still would forget to clean out his pockets. And so once that happened, after I made the request, then I followed through. And that next week, his clothes were still in the basket and I washed mine. And that's how, and I was happy. And guess what? He's happy. He's fine, right? So I can't make it into something bigger for him. It wasn't bothering him, right? He washes all kinds of stuff and there's tissue and Listerine packs and all kinds of stuff, right, in the pockets. But I was getting worked up about it. And now it's fine. So I hope that made you giggle. And some of you are probably thinking, I need to do the same thing because you have the same thing going on at home. Feel free to steal that consequence. Just say, look, do your own laundry. But remember, always follow through, because if you don't, you're out of integrity with yourself, even for something simple like laundry, right? Always be willing to have your back. All right, everyone. Well, I hope that I made you think. I hope that I gave you a giggle. And I hope that I can help you somehow this week and maybe, something that you're being challenged with in your relationship. So feel free to use anything that I shared today. Think about that case study about wanting more love and connection. Think about boundaries. And I will do more of a full out episode on boundaries in the future. But until then, have a wonderful week. Remember to subscribe to the podcast so that way you're notified every time a new episode pops. All right, everyone, remember, you got this, and I so believe in you. Have a great day. Bye.